Have you ever looked at a flower and wondered if your eyes were playing tricks on you? Today, you're about to see blooms that look like skulls, monkeys, smiling aliens, tiny dancing people, and even a flower that seems to wear the face of one of cinema's greatest villains. Some of these floral illusions are so convincing that people refuse to believe they're real. Others are so rare that only a handful of gardeners have ever seen them in person. But every single one exists, and each has evolved its incredible appearance for a reason. Nature doesn't create beauty by accident. Every curve, color, and shape serves a purpose, whether it's attracting pollinators, fooling predators, or ensuring the survival of an entire species. By the end of this video, you'll probably never look at flowers the same way again. But first, before we dive into today's incredible flowers, I have some exciting news. After months of requests from so many of you, the Plant Once Garden digital ebook is finally here. It's a beautifully designed, approximately 150-page gardening guide that brings together everything we teach on this channel into one easy-to-follow reference you'll use for years. Inside, you'll discover 90 beautiful perennial plants that return year after year, 6 complete low-maintenance garden plans, a simple planting calendar, my hydrogen peroxide gardening method explained step by step, plants that attract hummingbirds, common mistakes that kill perennials, and so much more. You can simply scan the QR code on your screen, or use the link in the description or pinned comment to download your copy instantly. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's begin. 1. Darth Vader/Skull Flower, Aristolochia salvadorensis. If someone showed you this flower without any explanation, you'd probably think it belonged in a science fiction movie instead of a rainforest. Native to parts of Central and South America, this extraordinary vine produces one of the strangest blooms ever discovered. At first glance, many people immediately see Darth Vader's famous helmet. Others see something even more unsettling, a human skull staring straight back at them. The illusion comes from its deep maroon and purple coloring, combined with translucent openings that resemble hollow eye sockets. As sunlight shines through the flower, those openings glow from within, creating a ghostly, illuminated appearance that feels truly otherworldly to anyone lucky enough to see it in person. It's beautiful and surprisingly intimidating. But this eerie design isn't meant to frighten people. It's actually meant to fool insects. The flower releases scents that imitate decaying matter, attracting flies looking for a place to feed or lay eggs. As they crawl inside searching for a meal that doesn't exist, they unknowingly collect pollen on their bodies before flying off to repeat the process somewhere else. Nature has essentially turned deception into a survival strategy. As incredible as it looks, this is not a plant you'd ever want to consume. Like many members of the Aristolochia family, it contains aristolochic acid, a highly toxic compound associated with severe kidney damage and other serious health risks if ingested. Gardeners in tropical regions such as South Florida or Hawaii may grow it outdoors, while everyone else would need the controlled environment of a greenhouse to keep this rare vine alive. We've started with something dark and mysterious. Now let's move to a flower that looks like it came from another planet entirely. 2. Happy Alien Flower, Calceolaria uniflora. Imagine hiking through a cold mountain landscape and suddenly spotting dozens of tiny smiling faces staring back at you. That's exactly what this remarkable flower looks like. Discovered during Charles Darwin's famous voyage aboard the HMS Beagle, this cheerful little wildflower grows in the rugged alpine regions near the southern tip of South America. Each bloom combines bright yellow and rich orange colors, with a bold white band across the center, creating what appears to be an enormous, joyful smile. Many people say it looks like a happy alien greeting visitors from another world. Unlike our previous flower, this illusion feels playful rather than eerie. But that smiling face serves an important purpose in its cold habitat. The bright white patch attracts local birds, encouraging them to investigate the low-growing plants. As they peck at what appears to be a food source, pollen sticks to their feathers before being carried off to fertilize another flower across the rocks. Even in one of the harshest environments on Earth, evolution found a creative solution. The happy alien flower is also refreshingly safe. It's considered non-toxic to both people and pets, making it one of the friendlier plants on today's list. If you live in a cool coastal climate, parts of the Pacific Northwest offer suitable growing conditions. Gardeners in the United Kingdom often succeed with sheltered alpine gardens, while much of Canada requires greenhouse cultivation. We've gone from something that resembles death to something that can't stop smiling. Unfortunately, our next flower becomes much creepier after it dies. 3. Snapdragon seed pods, Antirrhinum majus. Almost everyone recognizes colorful snapdragons. Their dragon-shaped flowers have decorated gardens for generations, and children have long enjoyed gently squeezing the blossoms to make the tiny mouths snap open. But the real surprise doesn't appear until the flowers fade away. Once the petals dry and fall off, the remaining seed pods slowly transform into something astonishing. Tiny skulls, complete with hollow eye sockets, a nose cavity, and what appears to be a grinning jaw. The resemblance is so convincing that many people assume the images have been digitally edited. They're completely real. For centuries, these unusual seed pods inspired myths across Europe. Some believed they could ward off evil spirits, while others carried dried snapdragon stems as protective charms against bad luck and witchcraft. Even while alive, snapdragons are surprisingly selective. Their flowers are designed so that only strong pollinators, especially bumblebees, can force their way inside to reach the nectar. Smaller insects usually can't manage it, making every visit much more efficient for pollination. Snapdragons are generally considered safe for normal gardening, although eating large quantities isn't recommended. They're also among the easiest flowers on today's list to grow. Across the United States, they're commonly planted as annuals. Gardeners throughout the United Kingdom love them for summer borders, and they're equally popular across Canada every growing season. From tiny skulls. We're about to meet one of the most controversial flowers ever created. 4. Naked man orchid, Orchis italica. At first glance, this looks like an ordinary orchid. Then you lean a little closer. Suddenly, you realize every single bloom looks like a tiny human figure. Each delicate flower forms a miniature body, with arms, legs, and remarkable detail, giving the appearance of dozens of tiny people dancing together across the flower spike. It's one of the most astonishing examples of natural mimicry you'll ever see. Native to Italy, Greece, and other Mediterranean regions, the naked man orchid has fascinated botanists for centuries. Entire hillsides can bloom with hundreds of these orchids, creating the illusion of thousands of tiny figures celebrating spring. Despite its unusual appearance, the orchid has a long cultural history. Its underground tubers were traditionally used to make salep, a warm drink enjoyed throughout parts of the Mediterranean and Middle East. Unlike many exotic plants, this orchid is considered non-toxic. However, seeing one in the wild has become increasingly uncommon. Habitat loss and environmental changes continue reducing its natural populations, making every healthy colony especially valuable for conservation. Gardeners living in Mediterranean-style climates, including parts of California, have the best chance of growing it outdoors. In cooler regions like the United Kingdom and Canada, it performs much better in containers or protected environments. We've already seen flowers that resemble skulls, friendly aliens, and tiny dancing people. But our next flower may be the most heartwarming illusion yet. It looks exactly like a newborn baby, wrapped snugly in a blanket. 5. Swaddled baby's orchid, Anguloa uniflora. Our next flower couldn't be more different from the last. Instead of making people laugh or raising eyebrows, this orchid leaves most visitors standing quietly in amazement. Native to the cool, misty cloud forests of Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, the swaddled baby's orchid produces large, creamy white blossoms that resemble elegant tulips from a distance. But the real magic reveals itself only after you look inside. Hidden within the soft folds of the flower is what appears to be a tiny newborn baby, wrapped snugly in a blanket. The illusion is astonishing. Its waxy inner petals curve gently around the flower's central column, creating the unmistakable appearance of a sleeping infant resting peacefully in a cradle. Every bloom seems handcrafted by nature itself. Adding even more charm, these orchids release a delicate cinnamon-like fragrance that drifts through the cool mountain air, making them just as delightful to smell as they are to admire. But this beautiful appearance isn't simply decorative. Like many orchids, the swaddled baby's orchid has evolved an ingenious pollination strategy. Curious insects crawl into the blossom searching for nectar, only to brush against the flower's reproductive structures before leaving covered in pollen. Every visitor becomes an unwitting messenger, helping ensure the orchid's survival across distant mountain valleys. Fortunately, this remarkable species is considered non-toxic, making it safe to grow around people and pets. However, growing one successfully is far from simple. These orchids demand cool temperatures, constant humidity, bright filtered light, and excellent air circulation. Outside tropical regions, they're best suited to greenhouses or carefully controlled indoor orchid collections. Nature has shown us a flower that resembles new life. Now it's time for one that appears ready to spread its wings and fly away. 6. Flying duck orchid, Calliana major. If someone pointed at this flower from several feet away, you'd almost swear a tiny duck had landed on the stem. That's exactly why the flying duck orchid has become one of Australia's most famous botanical treasures. Standing only a few inches above the ground, each bloom measures less than an inch long, yet its resemblance to a duck in mid-flight is extraordinary. The flower forms a perfectly shaped head, curved beak, rounded body, and swept-back wings, creating the illusion of a miniature bird soaring through the air. It's one of those plants that hardly seems real until you see it yourself. But this remarkable design serves a much stranger purpose than simply looking beautiful. Male sawflies mistake the flower for a female insect resting on the stem. As they attempt to mate with what they believe is a potential partner, the orchid suddenly traps them for a brief moment. During their struggle to escape, pollen attaches to their bodies before they're released to continue searching for another mate. It's one of nature's most unusual examples of deception. Even more fascinating is the orchid's dependence on a very specific underground fungus. Without this microscopic partner living beneath the soil, the seeds cannot germinate, and the plant simply won't survive. That's why the flying duck orchid remains almost impossible to cultivate outside its native Australian habitat. No fungus, no orchid. Thankfully, the species isn't considered toxic, but wild populations are protected, and removing plants from their natural habitat is prohibited. Some flowers fool insects, others fool people. Our next orchid does both at the very same time. 7. Monkey face orchid, Dracula simia. If flowers could smile, this one certainly would. High in the cool cloud forests of Ecuador and Peru grows one of the most photographed orchids on Earth, the monkey face orchid. Unlike many flowers that only vaguely resemble something familiar, this bloom creates a detailed face, complete with expressive eyes, a rounded nose, fuzzy cheeks, and a tiny mouth. Some flowers appear cheerful, others look surprised. A few even seem slightly grumpy. No two blooms ever look exactly alike. Its unusual appearance has made it an internet sensation, but there's another surprise waiting for anyone lucky enough to encounter it in person. It smells like fresh oranges. While many orchids attract pollinators using unpleasant odors that mimic rotting vegetation, this species fills the cool mountain air with a sweet citrus fragrance that's completely unexpected. The scent attracts tiny fungus gnats, which unknowingly carry pollen from flower to flower while searching for nectar. It's yet another reminder that nature rarely wastes an opportunity. Everything has a purpose. The monkey face orchid is also completely non-toxic. Unfortunately, it's extremely demanding to grow. Unlike most tropical orchids that enjoy warmth, this species prefers cool temperatures, constant moisture, moving air, and humidity levels above 80% throughout the year. Even experienced orchid collectors often struggle to keep it alive. As forests continue disappearing across parts of South America, preserving these remarkable orchids becomes increasingly important. From a smiling monkey, we're about to step into the shadows. Our next flower looks less like something from a rainforest, and more like a creature of the night. 8. Black bat flower, Taca chantrieri. Some flowers brighten a garden. This one transforms it. Emerging from the humid rainforests of Southeast Asia, the black bat flower produces one of the most dramatic blooms found anywhere in nature. Its enormous wing-like bracts stretch outward in deep shades of purple so dark they often appear completely black. Flowing beneath them are dozens of long, thread-like filaments that can reach nearly 30 inches in length. Together, they create the unmistakable silhouette of a bat, gliding silently through the forest. The effect is breathtaking and slightly mysterious. Despite its dark appearance, the black bat flower isn't dangerous at all. In fact, it's considered non-toxic. Those massive wings aren't actually petals. They're modified leaves known as bracts, designed to draw attention to the much smaller flowers hidden at the center. Scientists believe the flower's unusually dark color helps attract specific pollinators that thrive in dim rainforest conditions, where sunlight rarely reaches the forest floor. Its broad leaves also capture every available ray of filtered light, allowing the plant to flourish beneath towering jungle trees where many other flowering plants struggle to survive. Growing one at home requires patience. The black bat flower loves consistently warm temperatures, rich organic soil, bright indirect light, and humidity that rarely drops below 60%. Gardeners in tropical parts of Florida or Hawaii may grow it outdoors year-round. Elsewhere, it's best treated as a spectacular indoor specimen or greenhouse plant. We've now seen flowers that resemble babies, tiny ducks, friendly monkeys, and even bats. Yet the illusions are only becoming more unbelievable. Coming up next, we'll discover flowers that look like glowing lanterns, emerald birds frozen in flight, colorful parrots, and one breathtaking bloom that perfectly imitates a graceful white egret soaring through the sky. Before we reveal the next incredible illusion, here's a quick reminder. If your goal is to build a beautiful garden that comes back year after year with less work, don't forget that the Plant Once Garden digital ebook is now available. Inside its 150 pages, you'll find the perennial plants, complete garden layouts, planting calendar, hummingbird favorites, and low-maintenance gardening methods we talk about throughout this channel. Simply scan the QR code on your screen, or use the link in the pinned comment or description to download your copy instantly. Now, let's get back to today's countdown. 9. Chinese lantern plant, Physalis alcakengi. If you walked through a garden in autumn without knowing this plant existed, you'd probably assume someone had decorated the branches with tiny paper lanterns. That's exactly why the Chinese lantern plant has fascinated gardeners for centuries. During summer, the plant appears fairly ordinary, but as autumn approaches, something remarkable happens. The green calyx surrounding each fruit begins to expand like an inflating balloon, before gradually turning brilliant shades of orange and scarlet red. The result is a collection of delicate, papery lanterns that seem to glow from within whenever sunlight passes through them. Even after winter arrives, the display continues. As the outer husk slowly weathers away, it transforms into a delicate lace-like skeleton, exposing the bright red berry hidden safely inside. Many gardeners leave these skeletal lanterns standing throughout winter because they're just as beautiful as the fresh autumn display. But appearance isn't the only thing that makes this plant interesting. The inflated husk acts as natural protection, shielding the fruit from weather while making it highly visible to birds, which later help spread the seeds. Although the fully ripe berry inside is edible, gardeners should remember that the leaves, stems, roots, and unripe fruit contain toxic compounds and should never be eaten. Fortunately, the plant itself is extremely hardy. Across much of the United States, the United Kingdom, and southern Canada, it returns every year with very little care. In fact, many gardeners spend more time controlling its spreading underground rhizomes than trying to keep it alive. From glowing lanterns, we're about to discover a flower that looks like an entire flock of birds frozen in mid-flight. 10. Green bird flower, Crotalaria cunninghamii. At first glance, you'll probably think these are hummingbirds hovering around a branch. Take one more look. They're flowers. Native to the arid landscapes of northern Australia, the green bird flower produces one of the most convincing bird-shaped blooms in the plant kingdom. Each blossom forms a graceful green body, slender beak, raised wings, and tiny dark markings that complete the illusion. When dozens bloom together, they resemble a flock of emerald birds preparing to take flight. The effect becomes even more convincing whenever a breeze gently moves the branches. For years, botanists have debated whether this remarkable shape evolved specifically to attract pollinators or whether it's simply one of evolution's most extraordinary coincidences. Either way, the resemblance is impossible to ignore. The plant itself has also been valuable to indigenous Australian communities for generations. Its strong fibers were traditionally used for making rope, nets, and other useful items, proving this species offers far more than unusual beauty. Although considered only mildly toxic if consumed, it should still be kept away from curious pets and livestock. Gardeners living in warm tropical climates can grow it outdoors, while those in cooler countries generally enjoy it as a potted plant that spends winter indoors. Nature has already fooled us with ducks and monkeys. Now it delivers something even more colorful. 11. Parrot flower, Impatiens psittacina. Few flowers have caused as much disbelief on the internet as the parrot flower. For years, photographs of this incredible bloom circulated online, with thousands of people insisting they had to be digitally altered. They weren't. Hidden within the forests of Thailand and Myanmar grows one of the rarest flowering plants on Earth. Every blossom resembles a tropical parrot suspended in flight. Rich shades of purple, crimson, white, and soft pink combine to form graceful wings, while a long, curved spur creates a perfectly shaped beak. Delicate petals flowing behind complete the appearance of colorful tail feathers. The resemblance is almost unbelievable. Unfortunately, seeing one in the wild has become increasingly difficult. The species blooms for only a short period each year, and because it's protected by law in Thailand, exporting wild plants is strictly prohibited. Scientists believe the flower's unusual shape may discourage hungry animals from browsing the blooms, although its exact evolutionary advantage remains uncertain. Unlike several flowers we've already seen today, the parrot flower is considered non-toxic. Growing one, however, is another story. Its highly specialized habitat requirements mean it survives almost exclusively in carefully maintained tropical environments or specialized botanical collections. Just when you think nature has perfected the illusion of flight, another orchid arrives to prove otherwise. 12. White egret orchid, Pectilis radiata. Graceful, elegant, almost weightless. The white egret orchid looks less like a flower than a snowy bird gliding effortlessly across the sky. Native to wetlands throughout Japan, Korea, China, and parts of Eastern Asia, this extraordinary orchid produces brilliant white blossoms with deeply fringed petals that spread outward like feathered wings. The flower's slender central column forms the neck and beak, completing one of the most convincing avian illusions in nature. It's no surprise that this orchid has become a symbol of beauty and purity throughout Japanese culture. But those beautiful fringed petals serve a practical purpose as well. Night-flying moths hover in front of the bloom while feeding on nectar, and the feather-like structures help guide them toward the flower's reproductive organs. As they move from one blossom to another, pollen travels with them, ensuring the next generation of orchids. Sadly, this breathtaking species has become increasingly rare in the wild due to habitat loss and disappearing wetlands. Conservation efforts continue across its native range, helping preserve one of the world's most elegant orchids for future generations. Unlike many delicate plants, the white egret orchid is completely non-toxic. Gardeners in suitable climates can grow it in moist, bog-like conditions, while others often cultivate it successfully in carefully managed containers that mimic its natural habitat. We've now seen flowers disguised as lanterns, birds, parrots, and elegant white egrets. But we're only halfway through our journey. Coming up next are flowers that resemble bright red lobster claws, buttery popcorn, the folds of a human brain, and one of the most recognizable symbols of love ever created. A flower that looks as though it's shedding a single crystal tear. 13. Lobster claw, Heliconia rostrata. After seeing flowers that resemble birds in flight, let's trade feathers for something straight out of the ocean. If someone placed this bloom on a dinner table, you could easily mistake it for the bright red claw of a freshly caught lobster. Native to the tropical rainforests of Central and South America, The lobster claw is impossible to ignore. Long, arching stems carry dramatic chains of glossy scarlet bracts, tipped with brilliant yellow and green, creating the unmistakable appearance of overlapping lobster shells hanging beneath enormous jungle leaves. It's one of the boldest displays in the plant world. But those colorful structures aren't actually flowers. They're modified leaves called bracts, carefully designed to protect the tiny flowers hidden inside. Those hidden flowers produce generous amounts of nectar, attracting hummingbirds that have evolved alongside heliconias for millions of years. As the birds insert their long beaks deep into each bloom, pollen sticks to their heads before being carried to the next plant. It's a perfect partnership shaped by evolution. Unlike several plants we've already encountered, the lobster claw is completely non-toxic, making it a favorite in tropical gardens. In warm regions such as South Florida, Hawaii, and other frost-free climates, it grows outdoors year-round, often reaching well over 10 feet tall. In cooler countries, gardeners usually grow it in large containers that can be moved indoors before winter arrives. From something that looks like seafood, our next plant looks like your favorite movie snack. 14. Popcorn plant, Senna didymobotria. Imagine walking through your garden and suddenly smelling fresh buttered popcorn. No neighbors making snacks, no movie theater nearby, just a plant. Native to tropical Africa, the popcorn plant earns its unusual name for two incredible reasons. First, its tall flower spikes resemble overflowing clusters of freshly popped popcorn. Bright golden yellow blossoms emerge gradually from dark chocolate-colored buds, creating the appearance of buttery kernels bursting from the top of the stem. Then comes the second surprise. Gently rub one of its leaves between your fingers. Within seconds, you'll notice an unmistakable aroma of warm, buttered popcorn. It's one of the strangest fragrances in the gardening world, and often catches first-time visitors completely off guard. Scientists believe the bright flower clusters are especially attractive to bees and butterflies, encouraging frequent visits that improve pollination throughout the blooming season. But don't let the delicious appearance fool you. Every part of this plant is considered poisonous if eaten by people or animals. It's definitely a flower to admire with your eyes rather than your appetite. Fortunately, growing it isn't especially difficult. In warmer parts of the United States, it behaves as a perennial shrub, while gardeners across the United Kingdom and Canada usually enjoy it as a fast-growing summer annual or overwinter it indoors. Nature has now fooled both our eyes and our noses. Our next flower takes the illusion somewhere entirely unexpected. 15. Brain celosia, Celosia argentea var. Cristata. At first glance, you may not even believe this is a flower. Its thick, folded surface looks remarkably similar to the complex ridges and grooves of the human brain. Others compare it to colorful coral growing beneath the ocean. Either comparison is understandable. Brain celosia forms massive velvety flower heads packed with twisting folds that create one of the most unusual textures found anywhere in the garden. Available in brilliant shades of crimson, orange, yellow, pink, and deep purple, these blooms often remain vibrant for months, making them popular both in flower beds and dried arrangements. But this strange structure isn't simply decorative. Its broad, folded surface provides hundreds of tiny nectar-producing flowers packed tightly together, allowing bees and butterflies to visit dozens of blossoms during a single landing. It's an incredibly efficient design. Unlike many ornamental flowers, brain celosia also has culinary value. Across parts of West Africa and Asia, the young leaves are harvested and cooked as a nutritious leafy vegetable similar to spinach. The plant itself is completely non-toxic, making it one of today's safest garden flowers. Better still, it's incredibly easy to grow. Whether you're gardening in the United States, the United Kingdom, or Canada, celosia performs beautifully as a warm season annual that thrives in full sunshine and well-drained soil. We've admired a flower that resembles the human brain. Now let's meet one that has symbolized love, heartbreak, and devotion for generations. 16. Bleeding Heart, Lamprocapnos spectabilis. Few flowers tell a story as beautifully as this one. Gracefully arching stems carry rows of delicate pink blossoms, each one perfectly shaped like a tiny heart. But look just beneath each heart. A single white petal hangs below like a crystal tear ready to fall. It's easy to understand how the bleeding heart earned its unforgettable name. Native to the cool woodlands of Eastern Asia, this beloved perennial has decorated shaded gardens for centuries, bringing elegance wherever it blooms. Its romantic appearance has inspired countless legends around the world, with many cultures viewing it as a symbol of eternal love, compassion, or hearts broken by separation. Despite its delicate beauty, this plant follows a fascinating yearly cycle. Each spring, fresh shoots emerge from the soil before quickly producing graceful stems covered in flowers. Once summer heat arrives, the foliage gradually yellows and disappears completely. To an inexperienced gardener, it may look as though the plant has died. It hasn't. Hidden safely underground, the roots remain alive, storing energy until cooler temperatures return the following year. That remarkable survival strategy allows the bleeding heart to flourish in woodland environments, where spring sunlight disappears beneath dense tree canopies as summer progresses. Its elegant flowers also provide an important early-season food source for bees and other pollinators when relatively few plants are blooming. As beautiful as it is, gardeners should remember that every part of the plant contains compounds that are toxic if eaten and may cause skin irritation in sensitive individuals. Wearing gloves while pruning or dividing mature plants is always a sensible precaution. Fortunately, it's an exceptionally hardy perennial throughout much of the United States, the United Kingdom, and southern Canada, returning faithfully every spring with very little effort. We've already seen flowers disguised as skulls, babies, birds, lobsters, brains, and even broken hearts. But our final chapter may be the most spectacular of all. Still ahead are a flower shaped like an elegant slipper, another that resembles a giant musical trumpet, the famous flower that looks exactly like bright red lips, and finally, an extraordinary bloom, whose intricate center looks so otherworldly that many people compare it to an alien spacecraft or a creature from the depths of the sea. 17. Lady's Slipper Orchid, Cypripedidae. Our journey through nature's greatest illusions continues with a flower that looks as though it belongs in a luxury shoe boutique rather than a forest. The lady's slipper orchid is one of the world's most recognizable wild orchids, instantly identified by its inflated pouch that closely resembles a delicate slipper or ballet shoe. Depending on the species, the pouch may appear in soft pink, creamy white, buttery yellow, or deep magenta, while slender petals arch gracefully above it like decorative ribbons. It's an incredibly refined design. But this elegant slipper wasn't created for fashion. It was created to trap insects. Bees are lured inside the colorful pouch in search of nectar. Once they enter, the smooth inner walls make climbing back out almost impossible. Their only escape is through a narrow passage that forces them to brush against the flower's pollen before squeezing free. The next slipper they visit completes the pollination process. It's another perfect example of evolution turning beauty into survival. This orchid is famous for something else as well: patience. Many lady's slipper orchids require 10 to 15 years to bloom from seed, making every flowering plant the result of years of slow growth. Although some species may cause mild skin irritation, they're generally considered non-toxic. Gardeners in woodland regions of the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada can grow hardy species outdoors, while tropical varieties are usually cultivated indoors under carefully controlled conditions. From elegant footwear, we're about to hear nature's loudest performance. 18. Angel's Trumpet, Brugmansia. Few flowers make an entrance quite like Angel's Trumpet. Large, graceful blooms hang beneath the branches, like enormous musical instruments, waiting for an invisible orchestra to begin. Some flowers stretch nearly 20 inches long, their flared tips resembling polished brass trumpets suspended from lush green branches. Their colors range from creamy white and pale yellow to peach, apricot, and soft pink. As evening approaches, another remarkable feature appears. The flowers release an intensely sweet fragrance that fills the surrounding air, attracting moths and other nighttime pollinators from surprising distances. Those visitors hover beneath the hanging blooms, collecting nectar, while transferring pollen from flower to flower. It's an elegant partnership that has existed for thousands of years. But behind all that beauty lies one of the most dangerous plants in today's countdown. Every part of angel's trumpet contains powerful toxic compounds capable of causing severe poisoning if ingested. Even small amounts can be extremely dangerous to both people and pets. It's a flower to admire with great respect. Gardeners who choose to grow it should always wear gloves when pruning and keep children and animals well away from the plant. Despite the risks, its spectacular display keeps it popular throughout frost-free regions. In colder climates, many gardeners grow it in large containers before moving it indoors during winter. We've seen flowers shaped like slippers. Now let me introduce one that's famous around the world before it even opens. 19. Hooker's lips, Palicourea elata. Long before its actual flowers appear, this tropical shrub becomes one of the most photographed plants on Earth. Why? Because its bright red bracts look exactly like a pair of painted lips. The resemblance is almost unbelievable. Glossy, vivid crimson, and beautifully symmetrical, the unopened bracts seem ready to deliver a kiss before gradually separating to reveal the tiny white flowers hidden inside. It's one of nature's greatest visual illusions. Native to the rainforests of Central and South America, Hooker's lips depends on its brilliant color to attract butterflies and hummingbirds from across the dense forest. In environments where countless plants compete for attention, standing out can make the difference between successful pollination and complete failure. And this plant certainly stands out. Unlike many tropical curiosities, Hooker's lips isn't considered toxic. Its greatest danger comes from something entirely different: habitat destruction. Large areas of rainforest continue disappearing every year, reducing the number of places where this extraordinary shrub can survive naturally. Outside tropical regions, it requires warm greenhouse conditions with consistently high humidity throughout the year. From one of nature's most famous smiles, we've reached our final masterpiece. 20. Passion flower, Passiflora incarnata. If an artist tried to invent a flower that looked like it belonged on another planet, it would probably look something like this. The passion flower is unlike anything else in the garden. Large white or pale violet petals create the backdrop for an explosion of delicate purple and blue filaments radiating outward from the center, like the tentacles of a sea creature or the energy rings of a distant galaxy. Standing proudly above this intricate crown are 5 golden stamens and 3 striking stigmas, giving the flower an almost mechanical appearance. Every angle reveals another remarkable detail. It's easy to understand why so many people compare it to jellyfish, sea anemones, alien spacecraft, or even living stars. Yet every structure serves a purpose. The colorful filaments guide bees toward the nectar while positioning them perfectly to brush against the flower's reproductive organs before leaving for another bloom. The vine also plays an essential ecological role. Its leaves provide food for several butterfly caterpillars, making it one of the most valuable wildlife plants in many gardens. While the ripe fruit of certain passion flower species is edible, the leaves and unripe portions contain compounds that can be harmful if consumed in large quantities. Gardeners throughout much of the United States enjoy hardy varieties outdoors, while gardeners in the United Kingdom and Canada often grow suitable species against warm walls or in sheltered containers. It's a fitting finale, a flower that seems to combine the beauty of the ocean, the mystery of space, and the precision of nature's engineering into a single breathtaking bloom. From skulls that fool flies to smiling aliens greeting mountain birds, from tiny dancing people and sleeping babies, to ducks, monkeys, bats, parrots, lobsters, slippers, brains, bleeding hearts, and even flowers that seem to belong in another galaxy. Nature has once again proven that it possesses an imagination beyond anything we could invent. These extraordinary plants aren't trying to entertain us. Every remarkable shape, every brilliant color, and every unbelievable illusion evolved for one reason: to survive. Some attract very specific pollinators. Others discourage hungry animals. Many have developed partnerships with insects, birds, or even underground fungi that have taken millions of years to perfect. The result is a living gallery of masterpieces unlike anything created by human hands. So, which of these incredible flowers amazed you the most? Was it the eerie skull flower, the cheerful happy alien, the unforgettable monkey face orchid, or the breathtaking passion flower? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear which one completely fooled your eyes. And if you enjoyed today's journey through some of the world's most extraordinary flowers, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another adventure into the incredible world of gardening and nature. If you're ready to stop replanting the same flowers every year and finally create a beautiful, low-maintenance garden that practically takes care of itself, don't forget to download your copy of The Plant Once Garden. This 150-page digital guide brings together everything we teach on this channel, from perennial plant selections and complete garden layouts to practical growing methods and long-term garden planning, all in one convenient reference you'll use for years. Simply scan the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description or pinned comment to get your instant download today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.